Joining me today on my page as I go live to have a conversation with you about whatever comes up. Essentially, I have an idea today that I'd like to talk to you about ego, and so I will do so. But before we do that, let me, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know who I am, my name is Alexson. You can probably see that up here somewhere. I am Australia's leading channel. And what does that mean? I'm a direct voice channel for the highly evolved non-physical stream of consciousness group called All That Is, who provide transformation, information, healing through the vibrational frequency of the spoken word. So this is why I speak. This is why I come and do lives as often as I can on Facebook to reach as many people as I can, so that the work that I am here to be a conduit for can happen. At least that's my intention. It's my absolute joy, pleasure, fun, everything to be a channel for transformation for people. It just lights me up. And speaking also lights me up, hence the reason that I'm a direct voice channel. I imagine that's part of the reason that I somehow came across into this earth to do this speaking that I do, although it's taken me a long time to get to a point where I can actually do it. For a very, very long time of my life, I had a craving to be a public speaker, but my knees literally knocked whenever I tried to speak, even just to introduce myself in a network gathering. So that's interesting. You can conquer anything when your mission is strong enough. But let's talk about ego. Not just ego, but higher self. I was this morning on a radio show being interviewed and sharing some of the wisdom from All That Is. And I will share a link to that interview, which will be up on YouTube shortly. As soon as I've received it, I'll share it with you guys as well, so you can partake of the channeling, but also the information. But part of that, at some point during that conversation, we were talking about your ego and your higher self, and how to best work with your ego to have it come online with your higher self, so to speak. How to move beyond being in ego and being driven by your ego. Hi Susan, thanks for joining me. So that you can truly step into, and I know so many people are craving this right now, so many people are wanting to step into what I call a soul-led life. A life where you follow the instructions, follow the guidance of your own soul. It knows exactly what you're here to do. Hi Tracy, thanks for joining me. Your soul knows what you're here to do, and it knows how to do it. And so this craving that so many of us have, this compulsion to find our purpose and to do our purpose, your soul knows what that is. And there's a part of you that knows that you need to transcend your ego to some degree. I'm going to use that word even though it's not perfect. Hi Robbie, thanks for joining me. You have a desire to get beyond your ego so that you can get into being on soul path. And as we were discussing ego on the radio show this morning, I had this knowing come through. And look, it might be something that you know already, but I've just caught up with it. The knowing was that our ego is simply the shadow self, or the shadow side of our higher self or our soul. Our ego is the shadow side of our higher self or our soul. So we spend a lot of time, when we first start waking up, we spend a lot of time trying to transcend our ego, or to dampen it down, to squash it down, to even kill it for some people. And I've long been recommending that we don't attack it in such a way. Because when we attack our ego or any part of our shadow, if we attack it and demand that it be killed off and demand that it not be heard and all of these sorts of things, it's kind of like a naughty little child, isn't it? Or someone who, if you imagine saying to someone, I want to kill you, I don't want to ever have you in my presence again, of course they're going to want to fight back, aren't they? And it's the same with your shadow. And it's the same with your ego, which is the shadow of your soul or your higher self. If you attack it, if you go in trying to kill it off, even if you go in trying to transcend it, you're saying to it, you are nothing. You're worthless. And just put yourself in your ego's place for a moment. How does it feel when you feel that someone thinks you're worthless? You want to prove to them that you're not, and you want to get in control of that situation. Hi Mandy. Hi Nora. Hello Emma. So what I'm suggesting to you here is that if you look at your ego as being the shadow side of your higher self or your shadow side of your soul, then what you want to be doing is bringing those two aspects together into one. So bringing your higher self aspects or your soul aspects together with your ego. Now, it's not easy. It's not easy to do this because we're driven for most of our life by our ego and its needs. And that's okay. There's nothing going wrong with that. It's just that as we mature, as humanity starts to evolve and is evolving as it is right now, the higher aspects of us wish to come more into play. We are moving into a society, into a humanity, into a species that is moving towards living at a higher level. So living from our higher selves or our souls. So ego's had control for so long. Higher self doesn't necessarily want control, but that's what it looks like to the ego, that this thing wants to come in and take over. So our job really is to bring them together, to, I guess you could say that your job is to be the peacemaker. Your brain, your conscious mind is to be the peacemaker between the two warring factions. Your higher self, your higher aspects, your soul, and your ego. And to create peace between the two of them so they can come together. Of course, they're not singular concepts. That's just the way that I need to explain it. So those two parts of you can come together into full wholeness. And this is where the greatest work is done. This is where you start to become someone who... The expression that keeps coming to me here is you become a yes man or a yes woman or a yes person. You become someone who goes through life going, yes, if you know what I mean. You recognize that life is always happening for you. And in every moment, whenever anything's happening, you are seeing why life is happening for you in just that way. So I just wanted to share that with you today, maybe give you a new way of thinking of it. Maybe I'm telling you something you are well aware of. Maybe you've already dealt with bringing the two together. And I'd like to also offer you, if you are in that place where they're warring or there's this tussle going on, one day you're in your higher self and the next you're in your ego. By the way, I don't mean ego as in running around with a big head saying, I'm so wonderful. I mean the more subtle aspects of ego, living as a human being, just daily grind kind of things. If you're in that place of trying to balance the two, I'd like to invite you to connect with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's look at your energy, find out what's going on, and I'll provide you with a little tip or something that will help you moving forward, besides the one I've just given you. So do this first. Become the peacemaker between the two aspects and bring them together in peace. But yeah, if you want to have a conversation with me, let's talk about it. The teachings that are in the Mystery School for Women, all of them are based around becoming someone who is so completely led by their soul that your purpose is just part of living, income creation is just part of being, all of these wonderful, beautiful things. Becoming the vibration or the frequency of sovereignty and freedom so that you can really start living a life that is based only on your terms, where you own your own life completely and fully, regardless of what's going on out there in the world and the governments and all of this sort of stuff. There is within you this sovereign place. And so that's what Mystery School is all about, bringing that out so that you can start living into that. I hope that you've enjoyed our little conversation. I've been talking too much because I'm all breathless now. Have any questions, just pop them below and I will answer them. And thank you very much for joining me. Of course, if you have anyone that you think might benefit from this a little conversation we just had, I'd love it if you would share. I am on a great mission now to speak with more and more and more people, to share at least one Facebook Live a day, just to simply share what I know, what I think I know. I'm going to also do at least one channeling Facebook Live every week, just to let that information come through. All of these things I do without any expectation of return, simply because it's my compulsion to be of service in this way. So if you can help me in any way to get more people to know about what I do, that might resonate with what we're doing here, that I might be of service to simply through sharing these things, please don't hold back from sharing and helping me to spread the message. In the meantime, blessings on today, and go and have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.